Hello and welcome to Hell. This is episode 20, Demo Stacks, volume 8. And we have another stack of sickening and disgusting demos for you from back in the day. Hopefully everybody is doing well out there, and hopefully you will enjoy this episode number 20 of the 8th volume of the Demo Stacks episode. So we got a good list. Some different countries, some usual suspect countries, obviously, but try to plan it accordingly and jump around a little bit. We do have a couple from the same region, but that's okay because it's just kind of how it worked out, you know? So, with that being said, enough yapping. Let's get to the demo, shall we? Let's fucking go. Okay, we are going to start with the band of the shirt that I'm wearing. Try to keep this tradition going. You know these fucking guys, the legends. Immolation. One of the greats. One of my favorites. They've been around forever. Got a bunch of albums out now. Legends. Seems like they were on every tour forever. They're always constantly out there. And it's good to see them getting their due finally over the last few years, because for a while there, honestly, they seemed like, in my opinion, they were kind of forgotten. They were jumping on tours, you know, not opening, but, you know, they were in the middle somewhere, some of these tours passing through. And I used to just shake my head. But they work hard, man. You know, Ross and Bob. The old standbys right there. Two of the coolest guys ever in the underground and now even in the mainstream. Very humble, laid back, chill dudes. From Yonkers, New York, the pride of Yonkers, Immolation. When it comes to New York death metal, this is the band that I think of like that. A lot of people will say other bands, you know, Suffocation, whatever, which is fine. But I always think Immolation. It was one of the first bands from New York that I got into. I think Apparition was technically the first band, but yeah, Immolation, they were just sickening. That first demo hit, the self-titled 2-song craziness made its way around the underground, and we all took notice. Definitely, oh shit, who's this? They were just badass. They were known as Rigor Mortis prior to that, and obviously because of the Texas band, fucking awesome band, probably changed their name because of that, I would assume. Became Immolation, did that first demo. And this is the second official demo. The cool thing about this one is that it has the infamous rehearsal tracks on the other side. So at the Extinction of God compound, Bart and I wrote to both Bob and Ross. So I think Bart wrote to Ross and I wrote to Bob, as we wanted to get our own copies. It was a competition to the death who had the cool demos and shirts and all that shit. So yeah, a friendly competition. We would still share and tape trade and all that kind of shit, but we wanted to be the first one to get it. And I think I was first, but I'm sure Bart will have something to say about that. But Immolation technically began in 1988. So they actually, in 1986, there's a band called Def Con, and a couple of the guys were in that band. Then, of course, like I said, Rigor Mortis. And like I mentioned before, they're coming out of Yonkers, the pride of Yonkers. And Ross and Bob have been the constant members of the band. And yeah, I wrote to Bob Vigna. Never talked to him about the pronunciation about that. But killer dude. And started pen paling with him, and Bart wrote to Ross, and Ross is awesome too. And like I said, the classic 88 demo came out first, and then around 89, that rehearsal was getting passed around, and then that's on the other side of this one, and then this classic. This demo actually, they call it kind of a chompy sound, had a chompy sound to it. The first demo was a little bit darker and evil, which kind of what Dawn of Possession ended up sounding like to me. A little bit more Morbid Angel possessed. Where this one had a very New York death metal later on, other bands kind of made popular, but it's still fucking awesome. This is still a classic. First demo sound wise is, I prefer that a little bit as far as the style, but yeah, no, this 89 demo is fucking amazing. Total classic, fucking still mind blowing. But there was people that were say, it sounds a little bit different than that first demo. And then when Dawn of Possession came out, everything was okay with everybody at that point. People fucking complained too much. There's 3 songs on here: Internal Decadence, Burial Ground, and Despondent Souls. Classics. All 3 ended up on the album, which I think the first demo, those 2 songs ended up on the album too. And obviously, we all know about Dawn of Possession. That's one of my top death metal albums of all time, if not definitely in the top 10, probably in the top 5. We'll talk about that in another show later. I have plans for that. But yeah, like I said, Bob was nice enough to put the rehearsal on the other side. A lot of hardcore tape traders, you would, if you were cool with them and, tight, they would put all kinds of extra stuff on your tape on the other side. Because, a 3-song demo, you could put a 90-minute tape, put the 3 songs on there to start off, and then after that, just put a bunch of live stuff, rehearsals. So the rehearsal is out there. I think it might be up on YouTube. I know there was some bootlegs going around with it over the years. But yeah, obviously Immolation went on to huge things, and they're total legends. They deserve it. Nice guys, hardworking, and they write fucking killer material. Here and After, the second album, I fucking love that album too. I mean, Dawn of Possession is one of my all-time favorites. That's the one I always listen to. I mean, I probably listen to Dawn of Possession once a month, if not more. Here and After is fucking awesome. I think that one came out on Metal Blade. They were originally on Roadrunner. And then after that, I mean, they still put out great stuff, and, kind of all sounded the same to me, even up to this day. But I listen to the new stuff periodically, and they still sound the same, pretty much. Same style, just a little bit more modern touches with the drums and the production. Let's get into their logo. Classic logo right there. We all know and love. I know for a while they had dropped that logo and went with a basic text, but yeah, they dropped this. They put the logo back on the recent albums, which was cool. I know everybody was digging it. Here's a classic picture of the boys. Look at that. Brutal. The classic lineup. And fucking Tom Wilkinson, man. When I met Immolation when they were here for the first time on tour. I already knew Ross and Bob, but I got to chat with Tom too. Cool dude with the Morbid Angel shirt there. Original guitar player back in the day. Look at Ross. He's got the porn stash going on. Fucking brutal. Bob's got hair. Yes, Bob did have hair at one point. So did I, actually. So, yeah. Well, now we're Baldies. We're the Baldy brothers. Here's the cover of the 89 demo. Classic. And it's cool too. You look at the thank list on here, and it's basically a who's who, man. Just a fucking. These guys were connected into the underground. I mean, not just big bands, and they were just well connected with everybody in the underground. Everybody knew who Immolation was. We all knew that they were gonna put out an album and move on to big things, and they did. Dawn of Possession, lived up to all of our expectations, if not more. It was just such a fucking awesome classic when that came out, and these demos, led up to it. But yeah, these guys were connected to the fanzines, the comps, all kinds of venues over there on the East Coast. So they were around, and being around as long as they had been, and putting out demos starting in '88. Like I said, I consider them the godfathers of New York death metal. They're the first that I remember. And first time they came here, I think, was with Morbid Angel and Gorephobia. Immolation was on that show. Can't remember. I think it might have been at the Whiskey. 92, first time here. Here's a funny picture. So, like I said, I was pen paling with the guys. I was writing to Bob, and my buddy wrote to Ross, like I said. And then here's a classic picture of me passed out on my friend's bathroom floor, wasted, in my Immolation shirt that Bob sent me. This is 1992, and then this ended up in the Extinction of God zine, and my buddy wrote, Mike Nelson, hard at work, 1992. We were supposed to be working on the zine, and I ended up drinking too much. But yeah, there's my Immolation shirt. Used to wear this around all over the place, and I was one of the only people that had it out here. And red logo with the demo cover, black, and then I think on the back was the song titles. And iconic, classic shirt. I know there's been some represses of it. I ended up with this shirt that I'm wearing, just kind of almost like a tribute to. I found it online, and I forgot where I got it, but I was like, oh fuck, that's cool. White Immolation shirt with a black logo, kind of similar to the old one I had. I lost this shirt years ago, but funny picture. There you go. That's what I was doing in 1992. Passed out on a fucking bathroom floor. So, yeah, they're absolute legends. Let me grab a video. It is live in 1988 at Club Streets, or just Streets, in New Rochelle, New York, 1988. Some Internal Decadence. Check it out. Yeah. Classic, man. That's 88. Fucking heavy as shit. But yeah, Demo 89, Immolation. I didn't want to play it. Not sure about the copyright stuff with that. They're on Nuclear Blast now, so yeah, I don't know. Wanted to steer clear of that. So found some cool footage for y'all to check out. But Immolation fucking rules. And they're well-respected legends now, and they're kicking ass, headlining some big tours, and even, doing some big support stuff with Morbid Angel and whatnot still. So they deserve it. Ross and Bob are still at it, and I don't think they're going anywhere anytime soon from what it seems like. So as long as they keep churning it out, they're going to keep killing it. It was cool too. My band, my old band Gravehill, was able to play with Immolation, and let's see, what was that? 2007 or 8, 2008, at the Old Galaxy. They were on tour with Riding Christ. Interesting mix, but it was cool. And that was actually the last show of the Old Galaxy Theater in Santa Ana back then, because it had shut down for a while. The owner sold it, and then it reopened as the Observatory a few years later. But so. Immolation rules, and Demo 89 had to put it in the demo stacks because fucking Demo 89 rule. All right, moving on to the next band, Depravity from Finland. This is the Galvanizer demo. Brutal stuff. This actually, they still had a little bit of death thrash style in their music here with this demo, which is great. Don't get me wrong, that's fucking great. They got a little heavier later on, but they got some death thrashing going on here. It's fucking killer though. They were formed in 1990 in Pirkkala, Finland, and I wrote to the bass player Petri, and aka Pete. Pete was cool. Found the Depravity ad and one of the fanzines, I don't even remember which one. There was so many, but there was a little square tiny ad about this band Depravity playing brutal heavy death metal. So had to write to Petri, and he said, call me Pete. So I said, okay, Pete, you got it. And then, he sent me this motherfucker. Fucking heavy shit. They had a first demo in 91. And then this one also came out in 91. So this is their second demo, Galvanizer. 5 songs and a Kiss cover even. Creatures of the Night. That's pretty funny. Yeah, the song titles. Let's see here. The Better Be Descended. Castrated. On arriving home, ... Obsessed by reality. The title track, Galvanizer, and then the Kiss cover. So it's got a good amount of material on here. And it's quite fucking heavy duty. Yeah, you know what? Death metal covers of like songs like that, I don't know. A lot of times they're fucking horrible. Didn't somebody do a Motley Crue cover, Oppressor or something like that? Looks to Kill. Fuck, that was fucking awful. Sorry, guys, but that was fucking awful. But you know what? This fucking Creatures of the Night cover, not bad, man. Those Finns, they know how to rock. So, not bad, not bad. But 20 minutes. 20 minutes of fucking Finn death. A little bit of thrash. A little bit of thrash in there. Here's their logo. Classic stuff. There's the boys hanging out in the forest next to the rock or the mound, whatever that is. Look like death metalers. And there. He's the cover. It's got Mr. Pete's address on there. That's the guy that was handling everything. Bass. So, like I said, this has one foot in the thrash realm still, which a lot of death metal from 88, 89 into 90, 91 still had a little bit of thrashy to it until people started discovering some of the heavier end of stuff, some of the UK stuff, the English stuff, even some of the Eastern Seaboard stuff in the United States, Florida stuff. Everybody started getting heavier. Sweden, obviously. But most bands, that started up in the mid to late 80s still had a little bit of thrash influence. It had to evolve a little bit, so that's fine. And they went on to have they put out a couple of killer classic EPs. They never did a full length, and the original band back then, but they had that Remasquerade EP, and then of course the Silence of Centuries EP, which they're known for. Now, I'm going to play the song Castrated from this demo, but the only link that I found that worked is actually from the Silence of Centuries release. There's like a compilation that I don't know, maybe Ted at the Crypt put it out, my buddy Ted Tringo. Maybe Dave Rotten and Extreme Music put it out. I'm not really sure. I didn't write that information down, unfortunately, and we're not going to fact check today because I'm on a tight schedule. But check it out. Here's Castrated. So you'll see the Silence of Centuries cover on the video playing, but it is from this. You'll hear the demo sound. See what I mean? A little bit of thrash. That's cool though, man. That's what everything's was sounding like at a certain point. So they got a little heavier and heavier as they discovered getting more influenced by the death metal that was being pushed and getting out there at the time. So fucking A, it's still fucking badass. Definitely Depravity is definitely one of my favorite old school death bands and Finnish bands. They originally broke up in 1993 after those EPs, and I think they had another demo because I found another demo or two by them in my collection, but I wanted to focus on Galvanizer because this is when I first discovered them. They did reunite in 2015 for the Finnish Death Metal Maniacs Fest that year, right around that time, 2015, 2016. And then in 2016, they kept playing a few more shows, and then they ended again. And that's been it since 2016. I don't think there's been any activity as far as the band goes. I know that there's a lot of their stuff is getting re-release treatments and whatnot. So the stuff that I've seen around has been really cool. But yeah, that was Depravity. It was Depravity Galvanizer. Had to include them on this stack on episode 20, volume 8. So go check out some Depravity. Like I always said too, if anybody out there needs any help finding links, hunting any of this live footage down, anything like that, just send me a message or contact me and I can hook you up. But you motherfuckers are sharp, man. I know you're watching this show. This is some low IQ shit right here. But you motherfuckers out there are smart. You can Google that shit or go to YouTube yourselves and hunt it down. I'm not saying you can't. But if you get a little fucking lazy, you don't want to do all that shit, hit me up. I'll fucking send you the link. Make it real simple. All right, moving on. Surprise, surprise. Guess what country we're going to next? I seem to take you to Sweden quite a bit, don't I? Well, there's been books and legends and the stories and the number of bands. So just, expect a lot of fucking Swedish death metal bands on my shows. So today we're going to discuss Lobotomy. One of my favorites. There's the glare. Get the glare out. There we go. Look at that. Yeah. This is demo 1992. Against the Gods. Fucking classic. Classic stuff. They were originally formed as the band Rapture in 1989. 1990, they changed the name to Lobotomy. And they are from Stockholm, Sweden. Another surprise, surprise, right? That's where the main explosion over there happened. There's their logo. You might have seen around. That's a fancy looking one. It's all like, got some lightning in there, some color, glowing, a little bit of glow. Here's the boys hanging out in the alley, up to no good, getting ready to death metal it up, hanging out in Stockholm. And then here is the demo cover. I always thought it was funny. Raptured Anus Productions. That must have been their production company. Might be just an inside joke, but I don't know. Shows up in the layout too. Raptured Anus Productions. That's their, maybe they were trying to start a label. Who knows? But 7 songs of epic Swedish death metal. It's got the title track, Depriver of Life, Seize the Throne, Lobotomized, Darkened Times, Endless Maze, and Eternal Damnation. Each and every song is fucking killer. And Lobotomized is like a little acoustic interlude in the middle. Technically, it's got 6 songs. But let's play the title track really quick. If you haven't heard Lobotomy, you've been living under a rock. Here you go. Yeah! Fucking killer. 30 minutes of savagery on this motherfucker against the gods. That was the title track, by the way. And let's see. I wrote to Daniel, the drummer. Cool guy. Wrote to him a couple 2-3 times, and was able to get this beast of a demo from Mr. Daniel. And there was a third demo released in '93, Nailed in Misery, and I got that as well. Might do that on a separate episode. We shall see. There's too many fucking demos to try to keep track of all this stuff. Plus, I got to get the interviews going and the LP shows and, other miscellaneous shit, the compilation tapes. Everybody seemed to love that. I got a bunch more. So, yeah, anyways. It was interesting, too. Yeah, the Nailed in Misery came out in '93, and then their full-length album didn't come out until 1995. So they kind of got lost in the shuffle. The traditional old school death metal bands back then, if you didn't have your album out, you kind of fell behind the curve, so to speak, because then like black metal took over and brutal death metal and all the slam stuff started popping up, and tech death and whatnot. Hey, to each their own. People people started following a lot of that stuff, and then the traditional old school death metal stuff just kind of fell by the wayside for a little bit. I mean, plus some of the old school bands changed up their sound and got weird. So Lobotomy kept their sound. Chaos Records put out that Lobotomy debut album. It's killer, It's got some good jams on it. Chaos was a subsidiary label of House of Kicks out of Sweden. So it was, I don't know the whole story behind Chaos Records back then from Sweden. But yeah, I just wish the album would have come out, in that glorious times, golden era of death metal. If it would have come out at least 92, 93, that would have been badass. Because the last of those classics were kind of coming out around that time. So they did some other stuff with No Fashion Records later on, and that was all solid stuff too. And they finally called it a day in 2000. But what a fucking band. I always appreciated the Slayer influence. The end of that title track I just played, nice little breakdown right there, kind of Slayer-ish, a little bit of, death, leprosy style kind of. But yeah, Lobotomy is cool. They kind of stood out a little bit. They had a lot of Slayer, good Slayer riffs, and just, kind of a heavy death metal version of some Slayer stuff. So they didn't shy away from that Slayer influence. And that's why I always thought that they stood apart a little bit. And I always appreciated that because Slayer fucking rules. Classic Slayer, some of the best stuff ever, So the mighty Lobotomy against the gods. It's part of the stacks on this episode 20, volume 8. And it's an honor to have them on, So I had to include them on here because it's a fucking classic. So go hunt down the. All right, I had to include this band and this demo on this list. Technically, it's kind of like I said in the last episode. This specific tape that I'm going to talk about, it didn't come out till 1997, I believe. So it's a little later on. I was knee deep in Gasp and busy with the Gasp stuff. It was right in the middle of our career, quote unquote. So we were really busy putting out 7 inches and working on our drum trailer full length. We had changed our sound up a little bit. Thanks, drugs. But, I was still deep in the underground and, not as active, obviously, nowhere near as active as a tape trader, but still coming across stuff and grabbing tapes and CDs and LPs and 7 inches whenever I could, keeping those contacts as much as I could, even though, like I said, this goes for all these bands I'm talking about, myself included. Once you get busy with doing your own music, you're not a fan, quote unquote, as much anymore. You're too busy doing your own thing. And I was definitely busy, but I was trying to stay on top of stuff. So ran across this motherfucker. Disgorge. Disgorge, Mexico. I'm sure A lot of you are familiar with that band and love them. Kind of the second wave of goregrind for sure. You know, taking the Carcass Zeisma stuff and regurgitating it literally, and fucking killing it. They were formed in 1994 down in Mexico. So what this is it's a compilation. It's literally has all their fucking demos, and the main thing is this promo, Blood and Pus Emanations, and this is 1997. And so I had a friend, he was a crusty kid named Russell. He lived in South Orange County, and he just ended up at a Gasp show one time, and he was all into underground tape trading and stuff, and he really got into gore grind stuff and, you know, obscure grindcore and crust bands from all over the world. And he's the one that told me about Disgorge, because he's like, oh, you like Zeisma and old Carcass? Yeah, because we were talking about how Carcass got all weird, you know, by this time, 96, 97, you know, there's, what the fuck are these guys doing? And I don't even know if they're around at that point, but that wake up and smell the Carcass. Anyways, you know, it was not good. And he's like, oh, if you like the old stuff, you like Disgorge from Mexico. And I was like, oh, really? And then, so yeah, he made me a compilation. And the cool thing is, I don't know, you know, back in the day, there wasn't really a lot of red tapes around, you know, wasn't a lot of red tapes around. And he made me this Disgorgraphy and drew the logo, put little side ones and side two things on there. So yeah, this is all handmade. Then he just made a cover for me, and then he just kind of filled the tape up with as much material could fit on here. And I actually stole this idea. Some of you that ordered some of the really super handmade limited edition Ruin stuff, very similar packaging. That's just where I got the idea for the handmade Ruin stuff. Oh yeah, I'm just going to do what Russell did, you know, put some duct tape on there, draw. I'm not as talented as, you know, the drawing the, he's pretty decent with the Disgorge logo on here, actually. Came out all right, you know. I mean, it's not the exact, but, you know, not too far off. But yeah, so he dubbed me a bunch of shit, threw it on a tape, and gave it to me one time at a show. And I was like, oh, fuck, thanks, man. You know, very nice of him. I had Russell and then my buddy Daryl, also from South Orange County. Daryl was really into stuff and tape trading and then buying LPs. And he used to make little tape compilations for all of us. I'll talk about Daryl in a future episode, because some of the tapes that I got on this one demo stacks that I want to talk about, tape stacks episode, with a particular style and genre, kind of. Daryl's really heavy involved in that one. But yeah, Russell hooked me up with this, and it's a classic, the Blood and Pus Emanations. I mean, if you like that classic gore grind, grindcore death, grinding death, then you'll dig it. It has all the demos, and obviously Disgorge Mexico has went on to become one of the most beloved and well-respected gore grind bands ever, and they're still at it. The Blood and Pus Emanations put out in 97. It's got 6 songs and 11 minutes, so that starts off this tape, and then obviously the rest of the stuff is on there. I mean, they went on to do a bunch of splits and EPs. They got 4 full-length albums. That Chronic Corpora Infest album fucking rules, and so does Forensic, S-I-C-K. You know, I'm not a huge gore grind guy, you know, but when it comes to like different genres that I'm really not into, there's always those cream of the crop, top level, top tier bands, and Disgorge is definitely one of those. You know, there was another one recently that I really loved, Meat Spreader, from, I think they're from Poland, maybe Europe, but anyways, Meat Spreader fucking rules. I got one of their LPs in the collection, and I listened to it constantly for like a month when I first got it a few years ago. It's killer. But yeah, Disgorge is up there, the elite gore grind bands. It's not necessarily something I'm totally familiar with. I don't know all the bands, and sometimes the pingy snare and certain things about the bands or whatever I just don't get into. Some of it kind of just all sounds the same. Yeah, I guess you could say the same thing about old school death metal. But yeah, my buddy John Lee, former singer of my band Malfunction, good buddy of mine, my brother, he put out a Massacre Fest DVD in 2004. It's got Disgorge, Oxidized Razor, Carne, Semen, and Cacophonia, the legends from Mexico. So yeah, it was like a fest that he went down to in Mexico that had a bunch of grindcore and goregrind bands playing. And I think John recorded it, and then he ended up putting it out on DVD years later, or maybe around that time, 2004. I think that's when he was down there. I can't remember, but let me play. Oh wait, let me put the classic logo. There's the classic Disgorge Mexico logo. There's the Boys in 1997 era, around this time, somewhere around there. Somewhere in the 90s, early 2000s. There's my guy Antimo on the left, killer dude. He's in a bunch of great bands. And then Skull in the middle, and then the Cuervo Tequila on the right, ready to kill and fucking gore grind it up. And then here is the picture of the cover of the advance I'm talking about. I'm not sure where Russell got this, and ended up giving me a copy, but he probably wrote to Antimo or one of the dudes. And let's play now. This video that I'm going to play, the Rancid Bowel Sarcoma, it's not on this recording because this song came out later on one of the albums. But this is the infamous video that everybody's fucking seen before. Antimo's out there with his shirt off and the fucking nails and blood and brutality. So check this out. Some brutal stuff right there, man. Fucking Antimo's fucking brutal as shit. Killer dude. Recently made contact with him on social media a year or two ago, and yeah, he's fucking really nice dude. He's in a bunch of killer bands. Unfortunately, he's not in Disgorge anymore. I thought, you look at that video, it's like, God damn, man, he's fucking brutal. But they're still at it. They're still fucking doing it. And this is the tape. So thanks, Russell, for making me this back in the day, and thanks for the idea on how to kind of make some fucking sickening looking homemade tape layouts where you just take duct tape and write on it. And then get an old, label maker or whatever, those classic ones. Back then we didn't have the fancy sticker ones. It was the old school ones, the labels. So yeah, Disgorge Mexico, fucking classics. Like I said, they kind of fit more in with this line of death grind, death metal era, even though Disgorge, this tape came out later, 97, outside of that original era I wanted to include it in here, just kind of like I did last week with Dahmer. So same thing. There might be another band on the horizon for the next demo stacks that is very similar. We shall see. All right. All right. Next up, we have Morpheus from Middletown, New York. This is, you might know him as Morpheus Descends, that did the classic Ritual of Infinity album. But this is when they were just called Morpheus. There was a shit ton of Morpheuses back then. So it made sense to, I guess, change their name and add the Descends on there so they could stand out a little bit, because there was a lot. There's a couple of there might have been 2 from Sweden, but I definitely have a couple different Morpheus demos. But yeah, I wanted to cover the New York Morpheus, aka Morpheus Descends. So Middletown is upstate a little bit in New York, away from, you know, the hubbub of Manhattan and the boroughs or whatnot. Middletown's up a little bit. Outside of that area, obviously, New York's a pretty large state, but Middletown isn't too far out of the craziness there. But so they were still, you know, I consider them New York death metal, but not part of the city, so the quote unquote. But, you know, still there. And obviously they gigged down in the main area, down in, you know, New York City or whatnot. But so 1990, they formed. Very, very influential band on Ruin, actually, because they have short songs to the point, very simplistic, but they're heavy as all fuck, you know. So when I heard this, I was instantly hooked, because they got catchy riffs too, real dark and evil, but very catchy and great riffs. And hey, I know a thing or two about that, right? So I actually got this from I've talked about the tape trader / bootlegger named Tony. Met him in Anaheim back in the day, and I got this from him. And him and Rafael Rivera, the infamous dude from Baphomet Records, they were doing a lot of bootlegs at the time. And, you know, I know it's not cool, but, you know, back then when you're a young tape trader, you're just hungry for everything. You know, my ethics went out the window, and I was buying bootlegs too. So I did support the bands, you know, pretty much most of the time, but, you know, I did buy some bootlegs. I don't know what the guys were doing with the money, but bootleg Tony, yeah. He had great stuff. I got quite a few tapes from both Raphael and Tony, actually. Mainly Tony. Raphael was in LA, and I'd mainly see him at shows, but Tony I'd see around town a lot, you know, during the week. He was always around, and he would come over to the Extinction of God house and hang out. You know, me and Bart always buying stuff off him, and he always wanted to borrow shit so he could bootleg it, and we wouldn't let him do that. But yeah, this 5 songs on this beast. Trephination, the title track, Accelerated Decrepitude, Triformed Limbs, Stigmatic Crucifixion, and Residual Kill. All those songs in 15 minutes. So like I said, each song is just straight to the point, 2-3 minutes, maybe, you know, drifting into almost 4 minutes, but it's pretty quick. They also did that classic 7-inch on Seraphic Decay Records. Adversary, I think that's how you pronounce it. I know there was a label called that too, but anyways, it's got I ordered the damn 7-inch from that fucking Steve bastard from Seraphic Decay, and I never got it. That's I pretty much ordered 1 or 2 of everything that he had, because goddamn, he was putting out a lot of great stuff. So yeah, I got ripped off and didn't get my Morpheus 7-inch, unfortunately. But they did another demo, Corpse Under Glass, which I'll probably have to include in another demo stack, because that demo rules as well. But today we're talking about this one. So yeah, Corpse Under Glass was 1992. This demo was 1991. And they ended up working with Jail America
for that aforementioned Ritual of Infinity album. In December of 92, they put that out. So that was interesting. Jail America was working with some great bands, Beharit, Morpheus Descends, and so yeah, like I said earlier, they changed their name to Morpheus Descends because there was a bunch of bands named Morpheus. And to me, I think this band's underrated. They're super cult New York death metal, but and they're a classic band from the glorious times. I think this material stands up with a lot of the other bands, to be honest with you. So here's their classic logo, just Morpheus, that you see here on this tape. Here's the boys hanging out in the cemetery, getting ready to death metal it up, maybe hit the kegger later on. And then here is the cover, Accelerated Decrepitude, 91. Let's play a song from this demo real quick. Check it out. There you go. Classic stuff. And, they're still at it, too. They're still at it, and I believe the fucking original lineup is still going. So hails to those guys, man. That's fucking awesome. But, yeah, Accelerated Decrepitude, Demo 91. Had to put it in this stack because it fucking rules. You heard it for yourself. It's badass. Go check it out. And, like I said, they're still at it. I don't think... I haven't heard anything about new material, but they're still playing shows and festivals and whatnot. So that's fucking badass. I definitely have to catch them. Hopefully, if it's not out on the East Coast, I don't know if they're ever going to make it out west here to Cali, but I'd love to fucking check them out. Maybe Ruin can even play with them. So that'd be fucking amazing. All right. So last but not least, we are going to end the show with Decomposed from England. This is the classic. Wait a minute here. Got the right one? Yeah. Sorry, I got two of their demos. So I want to make sure I got the right one. Ego Sum Lex Mundi is this one. So this is the second demo, I believe. Demo number 2. Fucking heavy doom death, if you want to talk about the Peaceville 3, the Deadly Trio, Paradise Lost, My Dying Bride, Anathema, whatever. Decomposed kind of slid in there shortly after. There was Decomposed, Lord of Putrefaction. There was a number of, slow death metal bands over there in the United Kingdom. I don't know what was going on in the fucking water or the beer over there, the Newcastles. Fucking A, man. That's fucking great fucking band. They formed in 1990 in London, England. Obviously, quite a doom death scene in the 90s, like I said. And I actually bought this demo at Wild Rags. So I can't remember, The first demo is see, they had a rehearsal, Dying Deceased, and didn't get that. Never heard of the band when they put that out. But the Sermons of Morbidity, I have that demo too, and I didn't write to the guys. I don't know where I got that tape from. It must have been from a tape trader and something or other. But actually, it's not even recorded on like a compilation or anything, because there was some compilations that were dubbed by friends that had demos on there, full demos. And if you had like 120-minute tapes, then 60 minutes, you could slam 5-6 demos on there, depending on how long they were on each side. So I have some like that too, but I actually have a cover of that other one. But anyways, we'll talk about Ego Sum Lex Mundi. This came out in 1991. 4 songs, clocking in at 15 minutes of death, doom, abyss-ridden filth. So you got Burials Part 1, which is kind of like a intro instrumental deal, and just kind of prods through Dying Diseased, Infectious Growth, and the outro Procession of the Undertakers, which is kind of a slow prodding outro. And the UK death metal bands, they all started as like traditional death metal bands, and Decomposed as well started on that. Sermons of Morbidity is basically straightforward death metal. They got some blast beats on there, kind of similar to My Dying Bride, kind of just at first My Dying Bride demos, pretty much just death metal with some slow parts here and there. It ended up evolving. Decomposed got, slower on here on this demo. Total doom death. And they slowed it down and got heavy death on here. And they ended up, some label, I don't know who, put this out on vinyl shortly after this demo tape was released. They had the Funeral Obsession EP in 1992, and then the Hope Finally Died album in 1993. Those are both classics too, of if you like doom death metal. Unfortunately, Decomposed broke up in 95, but we have the classic material. And so yeah, I knowing I initially had that tape, the Sermons of Morbidity demo. So I walked into Wild Rags one day, and it was one of those demos that Richard he saw me, he automatically grabbed this Decomposed demo and handed it to me. You need to buy this now. It's up your bloody alley. You'll definitely love it. So, whenever he said that, I definitely was like, yep, I trust it. So had to pick up this demo. It's an all-timer. Here is a song real quick. Check it out. Yeah, there you go. See, there's some fast parts right there. It wasn't all just slow doom and gloom. But yeah, actually looking at that link, Virulence is the label out of France. I have to look that up too. I think that label put out some cool stuff. I forgot to do some research on that label. Virulence Productions or Virulence Records, whatever. But classic stuff. UK Death Doom, man. What a scene over there, you know? Killer fucking band. Broke up too soon. As a lot of the bands did. Here is their classic logo. And here are the boys hanging out in a cemetery, of course. When you're a death doom band or a doom metal band, you got to hang out in a fucking cemetery. Or are you even death dooming, right? Are you even dooming it out? You're not dooming on, are you? If you're not in a fucking cemetery. And then here is the classic cover. So there is the 7-inch EP available soon on Virulence out of France. I never got the 7-inch, unfortunately. So I had the tape, and I figured, why do I want the 7-inch? I don't know. I guess I wasn't that psychotic of a collector back then. But, whoop, whoop. There we go. So yeah, Decomposed, United Kingdom. Classic stuff. So that is going to conclude this episode of the Welcome to Hell show, episode 20. Pretty cool. I'm going to have to do a little contest because we got up to 300 subscribers and now we're on episode 20. So I was thinking of doing a giveaway, and I'll figure that out. I'll do it through YouTube or whatever, do some sort of stupid question and send you guys some free shit or something. I got a couple of extra CDs and maybe an LP that I could spare. I ended up getting doubles of at one point or another. So I'll figure that out and let you guys know. But we got to celebrate, man. I appreciate y'all. And it's fucking awesome. I didn't know that the channel would get this great of a response. So I'm just very blown away by everything so far. And make sure that you like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment on this video and the other videos, like everything on here. And, let me know if you got any suggestions. I had some pretty cool suggestions and ideas that people have popped up. And I might start doing some live stuff. Like I said, I got some interviews coming up. So maybe if some of you want to jump on with me or something, we can chat and do some show and tell or just play some jams, something that YouTube's not going to nail the copyright shit on. We can do it. But yeah, again, I appreciate all of you fucking sickos. You rule. And until next time, you crazy motherfuckers have a good one. And an even better one tomorrow. See you later for episode 21.